Well, welcome to the Keeper Chronicles, episode 2. My guest is not really a guest. He's the co-host of the podcast, although he's still getting the feature tag, so I'm just going to introduce him again. Your reigning champion, my brother, Jacob Ambrose.
What's
31
up?
years old. The birthday finally happened.
What's up, everyone?
Very excited to do episode 2. The title of the episode is not a secret. It's Whiz on 'em, and I don't think you need to guess why. It is because something miraculous has happened.
The Whiz wins week 1.
Week 1, out of the gate, comes out with a win. I'm going to turn up our mics just a little bit. He comes out with a win by a hair, really.
We'll touch on that later, but we have a lot to review tonight, Luke.
We do have a lot to review. We got a lot to get started. So I'm going to get started. Let's just start off. We haven't been back at the podcast since we drafted. So why don't we talk about the draft? That's the draft. I just reused it because we don't really have much to. I haven't put a lot into the production of this one, so other than changing out, the background right here. Let's talk about the draft. What were your takeaways from the draft this year, Jacob?
I mean, we kind of talked through who had the best team, who had the worst team, but beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and I felt as though I had the best team. You felt like you had the best team. Clearly, both of our teams did not perform well week 1, but I feel like walking out of the draft, everyone probably felt pretty good about their draft.
I feel like most people had I got my guy, aside from Boompa, who really wanted Keon Coleman so badly that he sent me a trade for Javonte Williams, who he drafted 8 picks later than Keon Coleman. Let's just do a little trade so I can have my little Josh Allen, Keon Coleman connection. Most people felt like they got the guy that they wanted. Sam got Tajay Spears.
There was a little saltiness from Sam. He really wanted Jalen Hurts and felt it unfair that he didn't. He had him for 2 years in a row, and he felt like he should have had the common courtesy to be able to draft him whenever he wanted.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. But if you look through the first round, first overall pick, Marvin Harrison Jr., Ross took him, 1.4 points on week 1.
1 catch, 4 yards.
1 catch for 4 yards.
Now,
obviously, his ceiling is way higher than that.
Have you seen the highlight? Or maybe not necessarily a highlight. Have you seen the clip where it's one of the final plays and he's wide open in the end zone?
I have seen that one, yes. And
so, I don't know if the stat line is indicative to the player that Ross eventually will have.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, that highlight though, I always wonder what's happening in the pocket when you see that, because the play has probably broken.
Probably.
And so it's just his guy is just not even on him anymore. But that's aside from the fact. A couple other round 1 just notables. Olave, for me,
bad.
3 points and some change.
Bad.
Just bad. And, Juwan Johnson got all the love from Derek Carr down in New Orleans. Drake London was a round 1 pick by David.
Was he 1 catch, 2 catches?
He had something terrible. I mean, David's team was just...
It was a rough week for him.
Sam took Michael Pittman in round 1.
Another rough one.
Josh Jacobs was also taken in round 1.
He scored 10 points at least.
He scored 10 at least, but...
He got a touchdown.
Yes. I don't know that what he showed me was man, this is really going to be a league winner.
The field conditions were just rough down in
That is
Sao
true.
Paulo.
I mean, I did see somebody was like, oh, they're made for soccer, not for football. So
yeah. You got to highlight that really there was a couple good round 1 picks.
Pacheco
for sure.
I did not think that he would be as valuable as round 1, and
no, he did great.
Yeah, he did a good job. So.
Also, Kieran Williams. Kyron. I don't know how to say his name.
I got his handcuff, and he did not see the field. So Blake Corum, I picked him up.
I believe
he
there was
0.0 points.
another running back that did see the field ahead of Blake Corum. So Ronnie Rivers.
Ronnie Rivers, okay.
Ronnie Rivers. So you might want to swap them out.
Well, I might be just ditching the Corum here. He might be going away soon. So that was our draft. I felt like, not like you said, not a whole lot of reaches. Felt like it was pretty good. I mean, we were all on the call together, so a lot of us felt like we were like, oh man, like, do I take the next high ranked guy, or do I reach for somebody who I believe in? And that was a common.
It's always the issue, right?
Yeah.
You want to you always want your players, but you also don't want to look like a fool. So it's hard to go against rankings sometime.
Yeah, and I think that bit a couple of us this week.
Yeah.
And I just do want to settle the question of who uttered that silent, half silent, under the breath F-bomb. It was Boompa. It was. They both denied it on the call, both Benton and Boompa, who we thought, but it was Boompa. And, I mentioned it to my mom, and she goes, oh, yeah, that's my dad. So, Hannah wants the link to this. Let me send her this real quick. Apparently, Hannah's big into our fantasy league.
Well, yeah.
Okay. Moving on kind of from the draft, let's get into week 1. What were some of your observations just from the league and in general?
I mean, I had a couple observations I wrote down. Number one, there was that stat that was displayed during Monday night game that the average passing yards a team had was like 187, which is super, super low.
Right. What I'm guessing Josh Allen had the most?
Baker had a good amount.
Oh, Baker
too.
did, yeah.
Baker,
Josh Allen ran for 2 touchdowns, didn't he?
Baker had almost 300 yards. So that was surprising because not only does that bring down quarterback scores, but you have to look at wide receivers. But also, I was checking some box scores. It wasn't just yards were way down, but I thought quarterback attempts were pretty low as well.
In all of the games that I watched, it seemed very run heavy.
And maybe the league is changing. I mean, who knows?
Or it's just week. I don't know. Maybe it's week 1 sort of jitters from the quarterbacks, or
Yep.
Play callers are wanting not to air it out. I don't know.
Yep. And so
the notable, I don't know. It was just refreshing as a Vikings fan to see Sam Darnold doing some of those longer throws, though, and not just sticking with Aaron Jones, though he did have a day.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. It just, like, fantasy football is already pretty unpredictable, but when you suppress the number of passing yards a team has, it just gets really strange.
Right, when you can't count on your quarterback to get you over 12 points.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. The other thing, like, you look at our leagues especially, there was a lot of kickers and defenses scoring big.
Jake Moody, Brandon Aubrey.
Like, you had 4 or 5 kickers scoring 20-plus points. 2
of them unclaimed, Chris Boswell and Blake Group. Group A from New Orleans.
Yeah.
He had 22 or 23 or something.
Well, and then you look at defenses. There were a fair amount of defenses. I think there was a couple that were actually started this week that scored like 15-plus. It's not coming to me off the top of my head, so I apologize. New Orleans.
Oh, yeah, New Orleans did. Oh, who did Mark have? Mark had a good one.
Dallas.
Mark had Dallas.
Dallas, yes.
Yes, because I remember he told me, he said, that Dallas defense has got me out of a bind once in a while. More than once is what he said, actually. Not once in a while. Okay. More than once.
Yeah.
He said they've gotten me out of a bind more than once. And I don't know why, but like it seems that it always happens that Dallas does have just these weird like interceptions. Like
Luke, who's Dallas's defensive coordinator?
Okay. Mike McCarthy.
Nope, that's their head coach.
Uh,
This is easily a person you know, a person that at one point may have been near and dear to your heart.
Mike Zim?
Mike Zimmer, correct.
He's DC?
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to keep watching that Dallas team.
Wow, we got Fat Mike and Bad Mike down at Dallas. So yeah, kickers and defenses just made the whole week seem weird.
Yeah. So
on top of that weird just phenomenon of passers, QBs not passing much.
I think it'll be interesting. I mean, we've seen some movement just on the waiver wire, just like, again, what's the knee-jerk reaction and what's the reaction we have to what happened week 1, and do you stick with your guns, or how do you move forward with the information that kickers and defense were winning games and that passing was way down?
How do you move forward from that? I mean, not to get ahead of myself and tell you guys what you're in the league. You've all seen it. I ditched Joe Burrow. I am so done waiting for him to be this elite, like, quarterback that everybody, the Super Bowl quarterback.
Did you, and I don't know if you were in the car on the way here, but they were talking about how bad Cincinnati was. If you go back to Zach Taylor being the offensive coordinator wherever he was, his record week 1 for like the last 12 years is 1-11 or 1-10 or something like that. So like probably something to be said. Joe Burrow will probably bounce back, but you can have your Bakey.
Yeah, I'll take Baker because what he's doing, I mean, even last year, he
was good.
Okay, now he might not be the best quarterback in the league, but he's a better fantasy quarterback than Joe Burrow is. I mean, yeah, Joe just couldn't get anything going, and Baker just seems to. Will I have my fair share of interceptions show up on the stat line? Probably, but I'm pulling the Boompa strategy of having Mike Evans and Baker teamed up, so double points.
All right.
Yeah, good stuff.
Well, let's move on to a new segment I have, a special Jacob segment I'm going to call Bad Wins and Sad Losses. This is not just that was a bad win or that was a sad loss. I'm doing a little math here and saying I'm going to take the median number of points scored for across our league. And so if you look at that, that's going to be right in the middle. So four teams will score more than this number. 4 teams will score less. In a perfect world, anyone above this median score should have won, and anyone below should have lost. So the median score this week was about 127 points. So guess who did not score 127 points and still won?
Oh, not.
You didn't win.
I didn't win.
I scored like 102 and still won. So
right.
At the end of the day, a win's a win, but that was what I'm going to classify as a bad win.
So you've got your statistical bad wins, sad losses. I've got my emotional one, which means, okay, so honestly, if you look at the box score, just the scoreboard from this last week, I thought that every win was bad, and I'll have to fight for my team here. Every win was bad, and every loss was very sad.
Ross?
Yes, Ross crushed me.
I think that's a good win.
It's a good win for him, but it was a bad win from my perspective. Like I said, this is emotional, okay? Who could have showed, like, Ross's team totally held true to the name.
All boom, no bust.
All boom, no bust. Like, straight up. And, like, definitely high bust potential there, just like if the Eagles fall flat.
Yes,
Marvin Harrison busted.
That was his one bust.
That was his one
and
bust.
He still scored 150 points.
He had Brandon Aubrey, too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So
he had one of the kickers that went off. Yeah. I mean, if we want to go back to math for a quick second, I do have to call out Benton scored 132 and still lost.
Yeah.
He scored above that median and had that unfortunate loss. Sorry, Benton. You deserve a win, but the fantasy world was against you.
Let me look at that game. So Benton had texted Yumi and Sam, and he had said, I really hope Brandon Ayuk gets injured on the first play. And what is crazy is that Ayuk almost almost dropped the ball for Boompa. He only scored 4.8 points, and he needed at that point. I think he needed 2.9 or something like that, or 2.8 points.
Yep.
And
he got it, I think, with his first catch, but like one fumble would have done him in.
So just crazy that it was that close. I mean, especially when you look at like Boompa's team had the Dalton Kincaid bust. 2 points. On a day that Josh Allen has 31 points and Dalton Kincaid is only getting 2.1.
Yep.
Derrick Henry, a little bit of a bust there. He was also a first-round pick, wasn't he?
No, I don't think so.
Maybe he was second round. Joe Mixon had a great day. Nico Collins was fine. CeeDee Lamb, not very productive. So, I mean, just the stars aligned for Benton to really take this win from a historically good team that Boompa has.
Believe 3-time playoff contender.
Yes, one-time champion. Or first year.
Yes.
First-year champion. And I think it was really that was a very sad loss.
But, I mean, we have to say, has the Frayne train left the curse of Storm Lake behind?
I think he's left the curse. I do not think he has left the awful logo. He still has the worst logo in the league. Okay, like I'm looking at the logos right now. David is kind of up there with the bland shield with the lightning bolt. Sam has, I guess it makes sense for the maybe this is Romnus in some sense. He's got the bald guy, which is pretty bad. Cheese Whiz, you're never going to change. He's got Aaron Rodgers still in gold and yellow. But Frayne Train, you're still just rocking the sneaker.
But I feel like Frayne Train is a team you might have to watch out for this year. Cooper Kupp.
Oh, absolutely.
Cooper Kupp, C.J. Stroud, and Rashee Rice, they went off, and I feel like they could be a consistent top 3 performers for him.
Look at, I mean, he's got high ceiling with Pacheco, JJ.
Yep.
Mark Andrews can definitely do way better.
He can play something other than left tackle, yeah.
Yeah, and sitting on his bench, I guess he's got Goddard and Demont, I guess, but
yeah. But it also should be noted that Boomps kept Josh Allen, and man, that looks like a good decision.
Yeah, it looks like a great decision.
Do you want to move on to another game recap?
I really want to just take another moment to say, Chris Olave.
So we're moving on to your game.
Wherever you are out there, you let me down big time.
Personally,
I took you in the first round of my fantasy draft, and you decided to go and get me 3.1 points. Travis Kelce, I traded away. Who did I trade? AJ Brown? No.
AJ Brown, yes.
No. I traded to David. Who did I trade? Oh, I traded Jahmyr Gibbs for you, buddy. Travis. So, you need to start pulling your weight around here a little bit.
To be fair, Luke, your game was basically over after Saquon scored 3 touchdowns.
And I wish that I could go look at my bench and say, "Oh, look, if I would have just started," and it's just not there.
Ross went all boom, no bust.
Yeah, he did.
And
my bench has an injured guy in Blake Corum.
And he's injured?
No. Jonathan Brooks is injured.
Oh,
and Blake Corum.
Okay,
both zeros, big fat goose eggs.
I mean, Luke, your team did not perform. I mean, you didn't score a touchdown until about 4 p.m. on Sunday.
Still sent that taunt, though, immediately. As soon as I saw that touchdown come through, taunt sent. You can send those taunts in the fantasy app. And when Breece Hall and Debo both got their touchdowns, taunt, suck it, Ross.
Let's move on to my game, Puka Power versus Trust and Repeat. And I think it's fair to say Puka in need of a rebrand already.
Yeah, I think he should rebrand to Puka Powerless, or just go with something that's not tied to a player who's made of glass.
I maybe a slight overstatement, but I feel like it's never a good idea. You cursed yourself, David. I'm sorry.
It is true. Maybe that's instead of the Madden curse, it's the team name curse.
The team name curse.
Nobody else is named for
good reason.
for good reason. A Cheese Whiz might be cursing the entire Packers team. They were the only team in the NFC North to lose this week, and so that might be the
Shout
team
out
name
Green
curse.
Bay. You can blame Mark Miltimore on that loss. And we've already slightly touched on this, but I feel like the game of the week, the Whiz versus Romness.
Really ridiculous. So it came down to, what is that? Do that math, 2.4? 0.24?
3.4.
0.24.
2-4, yes. So he only
I'm
lost.
the math guy now.
Congrats, man.
He lost by 0.24 points, so 3 yards, not even 4.
3 yards.
Kittle needed three more yards.
And Sam also, I texted him earlier today asking if he wanted any topics addressed, and he also wanted it mentioned that ETN did fumble as well.
Yes.
So,
I mean, if we're going to pin the 3 yards on Kittle, we might as well pin him on Michael Pittman too, who actually got less points than Kittle.
I mean, you could look at the Ravens defense and special teams.
True.
Like, we're talking truly anything could have pushed Sam over, or, I mean, even the Whiz, anything, like, someone gets 3 less yards and he loses. Like,
right. Hey, Lamar looked like a good keep for Whiz. He looks like he's going to do what he was doing. A-Chain apparently is going to be good.
Who knew?
We were all
Not us.
He's a backup, right? Technically. He's technically second on the depth chart.
To my knowledge, he was not the starter.
So A-Chain pulled out 23 points. Calvin Ridley looks like he's going to be terrible again. Devontae Adams.
Hey, but check that bench out.
Yes, I know. Jaden Reed, I heard all about it. Tuesday morning came, and Marks comes into my office, and he's beating himself up. He's like, I should have started Reed. I should have started him. I don't think that you should start Reed next week if Love is going to be out. Although, did you see they're maybe going to play him?
Play who?
Jordan Love. Like, they might start him. They said they're trying to get him ready for Sunday.
Are they just going to put an insane amount of tape on his name?
I don't know.
Okay, we'll find out.
It seems like somebody in a comment online was like, "Oh, they're really going to Tua him."
Gosh.
Before he's ready.
Okay. Any last comments on the week that was week 1? Otherwise, we can move to your weekly awards.
Yeah, we can give out some awards. Oh, last thing before. So, looking at the Whiz, he did keep Jalen Waddle.
Did not start him?
Didn't start him. He did keep him, and he was productive.
Oh, yeah.
So,
the Whiz might be a secret genius?
Maybe secret genius, and I do think that the Whiz is not going to be the laughingstock of the league this year. That might go to me or David.
We'll see.
All right, moving on to my weekly awards. So normally we do a waiver winner as our first award that I like to give out because it's a good recap of what was going on. I don't really feel like there's a lot of cause for a waiver winner.
I searched and I found Sam picked up Khalil Shakir. He was like basically the only person that was picked up between draft and week 1 that scored points.
And did he start him?
No.
Yeah,
we're not giving it to anyone.
Yeah, we're not giving it to anyone.
Sorry, everyone.
So Sam, honorable mention, but waiver winner is going to be reserved for week 2. So biggest nuts right away. We can go. That has to be Ross. I mean, it's bold. Okay, not only did he have the most points, which is historically who gets biggest nuts, but also to go 3 Eagles on your starting lineup and say, they're playing the team that you root for as a Packers fan, and go, I hope that they blow my team out of the water. Like, literally, he texted me, if the Eagles don't win this, I'm screwed. So
he was all boom.
He was all boom and no bust. And I really think, number one, good on him for naming his team that and recognizing that he does have the potential to go either way. But number 2, for it to actually go his way.
Well, I feel like biggest nuts just for the team name alone.
Absolutely. So that's going to go in the counter. Ross, you get 1 behind your name for biggest nuts. Not waiver winner. Best bench.
We've alluded to it.
Yes, we have alluded to it, and I just want you to know, like, when I have done this in the past, I've also considered, like, whose bench could have made the biggest difference in the outcome of their game. And obviously that could go to a number of these really close games this week, but the best bench does have to go to Mark on the Whiz for missing out on Jaden Reed's 33-point game. And, yeah, I mean, actually after that, the second highest was on Ross's bench. So it was Godwin, wasn't it?
David had a 19 and an 18 on his
Godwin
bench.
had 22 on Ross's bench.
Wow.
So I was looking at that feeling even worse about myself because my highest was Jerome Ford. I missed out on 18 points. And then the rest of my bench had under 10.
Okay.
Keon Coleman, shout out Boompa, had 9.1 points. Blake Corum, 0. Jonathan Brooks, 0. DeAndre Swift, 5. DK Metcalf, 5.9.
So avoid Ross. It sounds like he is not a guy you want to go up against.
I'm marking him as the juggernaut right now. So yeah, Ross, you get biggest nuts, and Mark, congratulations, you have the best bench. Now there's an award that I don't know if it's going to be a weekly thing, but I just saw something and I just couldn't not give an award for it. Russell Wilson is an interesting individual. He has now found himself. It's not that he's out of the starting job.
No, he's the starter.
He's the starter.
He's the starter.
But he was injured this week, and so Justin Fields took the field for him in week 1. Russell Wilson was marked inactive for the game.
Could not
no
play.
Chance of playing. Can't play. Not even a possibility. And yes, he was on the sideline wearing full pads. So, and I saw a comment online that is just the most Russell Wilson thing ever. So I'm going to give out the Russell Wilson Award for just a guy who thinks that he's all that, but he's really not. And I've got to go, if I'm going to give this award out, that's how it's going to be. This week, got to go with Puka Power. Another historically good team.
Historically good. And he chose to keep Puka over Cooper Kupp.
Mm-hmm. Over Cooper Kupp, who had a day. Puka injured. David, lowest points on the board. Just an anemic team in general.
David, I still appreciate that choice. Thank you.
Yes. So Puka Powerless is now the Russell Wilson Award recipient, and that will add to his tally.
Congratulations, David. That is an award you probably need displayed and honored and memorialized.
Now, as a preview kind of some of the things that will be in consideration for next week's waiver winner award, let's just to wrap this up, looking ahead at week 2, what are some of the moves that have been made on the waivers ahead of week 2?
Well, to no one's surprise, Puka was a little active on the waiver wire, picking up Jameson Williams with his top waiver claim, that spot he earned by only scoring 95 points. Jameson Williams, kind of, was he a flash in the pan for week 1, or is he going to be legit?
He had 24.
Yeah.
He had 0 touchdowns, right? Okay. No, he had 1.
He had a long touchdown. He looked good. But
5 receptions for 121 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, on the Lions, which is a hot team to kind of throw your weight behind.
Yep.
Wow. He dropped Deontay Johnson, part of the infamous trade deal. Yes, of course, I dropped Joe Burrow for Bakey. Yep. I really, really hope that doesn't come. But honestly, if Baker gets 12 points and I see Joe Burrow get 6 next week.
Well, Joe's playing Kansas City. He's got to perform in Kansas City.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Prepare
to be let down.
Sam wanted a special highlight on his waiver moves and felt like he really had the waiver wire of the week and is a potential waiver winner for next week.
He dropped Eckler. Is this the one you're talking about?
He wants all his moves highlighted.
Oh, okay. All right, give me the rundown.
Okay. Dropped Eckler, picked up Xavier Worthy. 2 touchdowns scored last week. Looked like he could be a potential star. His next move was Isaiah Likely. Dropped JSN. Isaiah Likely went off. Is he tight end number 1 in Baltimore? If so, what a move by Sam.
If he is, that will be a shock to the Mark Andrews lovers, namely Benton and Boompa.
Sorry, Benton. And his third move he made was Rashid Shaheed and dropped Tajay Spears.
Oh, man, you really wanted him in the draft.
He was really proud of that pick. But Rashid Shaheed sure looks like the wide receiver to have in New Orleans.
Oh, thank you for that one. Chris Olave is chopped liver over here.
Just a couple other waiver wire moves to highlight. Jaden Daniels was picked up by me. He's just on the bench. Don't worry, guys. And then Ross picked up J.K. Dobbins, who looks to be the primary back in L.A. Chargers.
Which is interesting. I know it was contested before.
We just didn't know.
It was like they were thinking it was going to be committee, right?
Gus Edwards. Yeah, they were thinking
and
committee.
one other guy.
Yeah.
Not Justice Hill too. No. Justice Hill
No, he was the one that got more snaps than Derrick Henry for the Ravens.
for the Ravens. Oh, he's still on the Ravens.
Yeah,
because
yep.
I knew Gus came
Yep.
over. I didn't know if they were part of the deal.
Both were Ravens prior.
Let's see. Benton added Alec Pierce. I've never heard of him.
He scored a good amount of points last week.
He had 3 receptions, 125 yards, touchdown,
Yep.
21 points. He's on the Colts. He
Then-
dropped Curtis Samuel.
Then Boomps also picked up Ezekiel Elliott. Dropped Javonte Williams. Luke, you can now get him without giving up Keon Coleman.
I can drop Blake Corum and find myself a great Javonte Williams. Patience is rewarded. Let me just say that. Patience is rewarded.
Sam, if there's anything you need to add, or you want added, just put it in the chat.
So I guess we'll see. Sam is putting himself out there and saying he's predicting waiver winner for next week.
He is predicting to be lead dog in that category.
So everybody get watching Worthy, Likely, and Shaheed. I know. I was just trying to make it rhyme with Worthy and Likely.
Oh, okay.
But with the emphasis, I don't know.
I was robbed of a win. Congrats. 3 yards.
Big Pharma.
Yeah. So, fun little thing, maybe not fun. Something I was doing is I have created a spreadsheet where I'm able to look at everyone's teams. Why are you laughing?
I'm laughing at. I just found the comments.
Oh.
David said, "Week 2 rename incoming." Shh, devil.
We'll see.
Okay.
So are you able to share your screen and look at the averages or no?
I can.
Not a big deal.
Let me see. Yeah, I can do that. Let me see if I do this.
No big deal. I'll explain it. So basically, I took everyone's team roster and I took some downloadable weekly positional rankings, and I was able to average everyone's positional rankings. Took quarterback ranking. If you had more than one, I just took the highest. I averaged your top 3 running backs, top 3 wide receivers to account for that flex position. I took your number 1 tight end if you have more than 1 tight end for any reason. And I did not include kicker or defense.
So what am I looking at here? What are these numbers? This is the ranking of the players.
This is not your ranking. This is your average positional
ranking.
And so I added all of those up and averaged
according to
them.
ESPN again.
It's some website. ESPN doesn't have a downloadable ranking, so it's hard for me to do.
All right.
But it's some expert ranking.
That's fine. Better than ESPN.
And so essentially what this is saying is if you look in Jake, like for that, my week 1 average is 8.9. That's saying my average player was ranked 8.9 in their position.
Okay.
So lower is better.
Okay.
Luke, if you go to, so you can look at the week 1 ranks and the week 1 averages and the week 2 averages.
This is prior to week 1, correct?
These are both prior to week 1 and
prior to week 2. Okay.
So now if you want to actually see the numeric rank that you achieved, Luke, you can go to that next tab that says weekly rank.
We got to zoom out. Weekly rank. Whoop. We're there.
Okay. And
So now this is just in order of what those ranks were.
yes,
Okay.
whoever had the lowest is number 1.
Gotcha.
Whoever had the highest is number 8. Pretty ironic that David was the number 1 ranked player heading into week 1 and scored the lowest.
Right. And now has dropped to spot 7.
Yeah, I mean, Puka doesn't help.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Really, really crazy. Mark, after having not a bad week, drops a spot into the absolute bottom.
It's again, and obviously, as you can tell in those week 1 rankings, these rankings mean nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a quick little preview. I mean, if you look, David was number 1. You and Sam and Ross were number 2, and then I was number 5. So,
Oh, I see.
4 of the top 5. Oh wait, I lost. You lost. David. Oh, I won. Never mind. But like 3 of the top 5 lost.
Mm-hmm.
So these rankings mean absolutely nothing, but they're just a fun little thing to see.
Right. And it's kind of cool to see just how, because this is really less than, it's a metric of like how the perception, not performance and perception, but this ranking I'm assuming is just based on fantasy points.
It's just based on their projected fantasy points.
Projected fantasy points.
Or I guess I don't know. It's based on experts' ranks. So like, for
Sure.
example, Tyreek Hill is wide receiver 1. So Sam has number 1 for his wide receiver 1.
Are you going to make some nice, cool graphs at the end of the season with this?
That's the hope. Google Sheets isn't the most friendly, so we'll see. There's a couple other things in the cooker that we'll see. We'll see in the future.
I'm excited to have my data guy. To just close this out, put a ribbon on all of this. I didn't listen to the game that Tom Brady was calling. I did hear that it was not great. Or is that an overreaction?
I heard it wasn't bad.
Oh, okay. Well, I saw the one comment I saw that made me laugh was finally something Tom Brady sucks at. To which I responded in my head, well, there's also marriage. And not kissing his son for 10 seconds at a time.
Wow, I got a big fan in the comment section. Nice. Hi, Molly.
What a smart and attractive man. The redhead is. Oh, okay. My hair looks a little red, I guess. I'm blonde. All right. Well, that is going to be the end of this one. We kept it to about a half an hour, right?
I think that'll be more normal.
So that'll be more normal, and can't wait for this to become this weekly thing. I'm going to be gone for a little bit in October, but
we'll figure something out.
I think it's just 1 week.
Only 1 week?
Only 1 week.
Oh, we can cover 2 weeks. Just
so
we'll miss 1 week. We'll see.
Yep. Excited to see what David renames his team, how Sam's waivers turn out, and in the spirit of the episode title, can Mark go on a winning streak? A whizzing streak, if you will.
Sorry, Mark. It ends at 1. You're going down this week.
The whiz will go whizzing past you if you're not careful. Anyways, goodbye. Have a good night, and we'll see you next week.